In this lesson, you will learn about the logs and reports stored within Tosca and the external reports created by Tosca DI. Row-by-row comparison logs and reports can be very large when issues and differences are found. This can be difficult to read using the standard Tosca logs and when viewing the expected and actual results. Tosca DI provides reports external of Tosca to be stored and viewed by any user. This makes it easy to analyze the data for differences and missing data. The reports can be generated in HTML and CSV format. The row-by-row comparisons all contain external data integrity reporting. If we select our previous tests, after the source and target sections, there is a general options area where you can set up the reporting to be saved locally or on a shared drive. Here you can see we have some options. Maximum errors to limit the amount of errors displayed in the report. We can put the file path for where we want the report saved. And we have other options like unmatching target rows, file comma separator, and as you can see, we can also change the format from HTML to CSV if you would like to reuse the data in another test. Let's select our reconciliation tests. I will run the first two, and we can see the reports and logs created within Tosca and the external reports created outside. Here's my location where I've selected to store my reports. We can watch the data integrity executor connect to the source and target databases, load up the data in the caching database at runtime, and then flush the data once the execution is finished. We can see both tests have failed. This is as expected, so we can have a look at the logs. Let's open up our first test. You can see the test itself passed, but the results had some issues. If we have a look here, we can see the verification has failed, and it'll report on the expected and actual within the log. This is very difficult to read. You would need to format this with an editor. Within Tosca, we can report on a high level using standard-based Tosca functionality to report number of tests passed and failed. But when coming to read the data differences, it's very helpful to have a look at the actual report saved outside of Tosca using Tosca data integrity functionality. If I open up the first one, local CSV to Snowflake, we can see we've pointed to our CSV file and to our healthcare in Snowflake. On the left hand side, you can see an overview of the amount of data that was been processed, the limit to the actual errors we want to see in the log, and a high level of which columns were affected. We can now drill through the different tabs for the different types of errors. The first three are the most commonly used. If I select differences, we get a preview of the first 5 sets of data. If I scroll across, we can see in this example, the row-by-row comparison shows from source to target the differences between each cell. And this was for the start date and the end date, where my formatting was slightly different and I did not use the right formatting and trimming within the model. This was intentional so we can see the actual errors in the results. I'll load up 20 sets of data just so you could see. And we can also select the actual columns with differences. If there's a lot of columns with differences, we might want to filter. In this case, the other tabs are blank. Let's go to my next report, SQL Server to Snowflake. In this case, the comparison failed again. We had 91,000 records found in the source and only 86 in the target. We capped it by 100 errors, and it hasn't given us a preview of any column errors. This is because if we tab through, there's no differences. But if we click on the actual source, there was a number of sets of data found in the source, but not in the target. The target is empty. And again, I can select all 20 or the entire set. This is very useful when you have large volumes of errors from source to target when you're running your row-by-row comparison tests.